will cover topics related to your entire organization. So really quickly, just how we're going to go through things today. I'll give some quick background on Marquee 360 and what we do here. I have a few slides I'll go over for Microsoft Planner and the accelerator PPM360, and then we'll go into our demo, and we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. But if you have any questions throughout, please feel free to drop it in the chat or even unmute and ask your questions. We want it to be an interactive audience and as helpful as possible for you. So feel free to go ahead and ask any questions. I see we have a few new faces and people joining us today. So for anyone I haven't met, I'm Charlene Kalirgos. I'm an account executive here at Marquee 360, and I work really closely with the Microsoft team to support their customers and make sure that you guys are getting the most out of your investments with them and help and answer any questions or guide you to solutions for any issues you may be facing. I also have on the call with me Stella Salome, who's one of our solutions architects here. She's going to be doing the demo portion of today's presentation. A few of you may be familiar with Marquee 360, but for those of you who are not, we are a Microsoft partner for project and portfolio management and also collaboration. So we work on the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform. So your apps like Planner, Teams, as well as anything Power Platform related like Power Apps, Power BI, and Power Automate is really where we excel in helping minimize any manual processes and streamline your workflows to make your team as productive as possible. So we have been voted a Microsoft Partner of the Year for the past 3 years, meaning that we are very experienced in the Microsoft work management environment. Our team was actually founded by former Microsoft employees. So it's a very seasoned team with over 20 years of experience in the Microsoft project space. So we've worked with everything from Project Server, Project Online, and more recently, Project for the Web and Planner. And really what we do is we take the Microsoft suite and we enhance it to help your team make any customizations for your specific needs and address any gaps or pain points to make you more productive with the tools you're already familiar with. We focus on 3 core areas for success here. The first being innovation. We work side by side with Microsoft's technology team so that our customers get all of those updates quickly and that we keep up with the technology that Microsoft is pushing out. Right now, a lot of that is going to be on Power Platform, which is Microsoft's newer low-code, no-code platform. So you can take some of that development into your own hands in your internal teams rather than having to rely on custom coding. And as a trusted partner, we focus a lot on customer success. So we work very closely with your team during requirements gathering to ensure you're getting everything possible that you need to be successful and carry that out through post-deployment support with hypercare, training workshops, anything your team needs to ensure full adoption. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Microsoft Planner, which is Microsoft's newest product offering to really optimize the work management experience. Microsoft has had several project tools over the years, including Project Online or Project Web App, Microsoft Project for the Web, and then Planner are going to be their newest offerings. And as of tomorrow, I believe, Planner and Microsoft Project for the Web are going to be transitioning into one solution. So if you have any questions about what that transition means or may look like for your team, feel free to reach out after the webinar and we'd be happy to discuss and help answer any questions. What Microsoft is doing with the new Microsoft Planner is bringing in pieces from Project for the Web, Microsoft To Do, and Planner. So you're not having to jump between tools and teams can work in one place and collaborate seamlessly. The new Microsoft Planner is going to integrate with tools your team already uses like Outlook, Teams, SharePoint, and Power BI, while bringing in AI capabilities like Copilot and new project agents. And while Microsoft is continuously developing their product offerings, there are still some gaps that enterprise teams experience with Planner alone. That's why we created PPM360, which is a planner accelerator. And PPM360 is really just going to take the planner experience a step further. And it's going to combine tools like Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power BI to deliver an end-to-end project solution suitable for enterprise teams. So you'll still have the same capabilities of Planner for task management and collaboration, but enhanced with tools like an intake app, timesheets, reporting, and financial tracking. And this is just some of the example of those additional features that we'll discuss today that the accelerator can help add to your planner experience. PPM360 is modular, and we understand that not all teams require this level of tracking. So it really allows you the flexibility to organize and manage projects in a way that is aligned with your processes. And I don't want to take too much time on slides, so I'll go ahead and pass it over to Stella to get started on the demo.
Hi everyone, my name is Stella Salome. I'm a solutions architect here at Marquee 360. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. Today we'll be looking at our PPM 360 project management tool. It is built on the Power Platform utilizing Power Apps. There's also a lot of automation tools that's going to utilize Power Automate that we're going to see as well. This is a one unified experience. So here on our left-hand navigation, we have an area for dashboard, just pulling in project information across all of the projects in the tool, as we can see here. Now, keep in mind, everything we're going to see here is customizable to the user. So if you were to inherit this product as your project management tool, there'd be a requirements phase where we'd go through and gather what fields are important for your team. There's also an area here for project requests, which we can see is going to open up this intake application, where project requests will be submitted. We also have an area for approvals, an area here for plans, as we can see, active plans, many other views we're going to take a look at, portfolios and programs, as well as an area for resource management. Of course, every project starts at the beginning of the project lifecycle, which is the ideation phase. With the ideation phase, we can come in here and we can submit project requests. This is my gallery. As you can see here, by default, it shows the requests for only requests they have submitted. So currently there are no requests submitted. To submit a new request, we would select new here from the top. Now, once again, this is a Canvas app that we're seeing here. It's also a Power app on the Power Platform as well, and is also going to utilize Power Automate. Utilizing Power Automate, upon this request being approved, it's going to automatically create a new project using this request information within the PPM360 area here, which is a model-driven app. So these two talk to each other. Let's go ahead and start filling out our request. Here we have an area project description. This is one of the many fields that you can choose during the requirements phase to carry over. Project sponsor, in our case, I'm going to put myself. Put a problem statement in here. And the value of the project. Under project details, I can come in and I can put in my proposed start date. So let's say I want to go ahead and start next week. I feel like it's probably going to go through November. And my go live date is likely going to be after in December. The project manager, I'm going to go ahead and assign this to myself. That way I can manage the project after it's been created. We'll go ahead and enter a proposed budget and some benefits. In our scoring field here, we have many options for scoring. This is just an example, but as you can see here, as I am selecting my scoring options, it's going to give me my total score here. Now, most of our customers do choose to hide this priority score from the requester and only show this to approvers. Here we have an area for attachments, and here we have a dynamic scoring area. So we can choose this, and it can basically show either the exact same thing in the question or some altered text here below. As you can see here, the check marks symbolize that all the required fields have been completed. Now I get this check mark, and I'm ready to submit my request. Now, upon submitting my request, there actually are a lot of different approval options. One of our approval options is going to be a batch approval. So basically, I can say based on the request type, it's going to go to 2 or 3 approvers at the same time. And then I would indicate during requirements how many of those 2 or 3 approvers need to approve in order for my project to be finally approved and created. Alternatively, we have multi-series approval. That is going to be in a situation in which it would go to approver A would approve, add some comments. The workflow would then continue on to approver B. Approver B would then add their comments, see the comments from the approver before, they would approve, and then it would go to approver C for final approval. That person would finally approve, and then the project will get created. I'm going to go ahead and submit my request. Now, this approval is going to go via email. So we're going to go here, open up my email. And we're going to see that we are going to receive an email here in a minute. And this is what the requester receives. So first, the requester is going to receive an email, and it's going to say that the request has been submitted. After that, it's going to go to the approver, and the approver is going to have the option to submit the request directly from email. Now, keep in mind that there might be situations in which you might want to approve the request directly from email. And there might be situations where you need to actually go into the request itself to approve the request. So in situations where you need to go into the request to approve the request, you would receive an email saying there's a request ready for your review with the link to the request. You would then go into the request and you would go into what we call a PMO tab. In that PMO tab, you can provide additional information to the request before final approval. So those are our 2 options. So a lot of different options and a lot of different options as well as for approval. So this is the first email that the requester receives. Your request July webinar is submitted for approval. You'll be notified when the approval status changes. Click here to view the request. Our first step in the workflow. Now what we're waiting on is that other one. I am the approver in this request. So I should be receiving an email where I can approve directly from email, as I mentioned before. Any questions so far? And here is our approver email. We can see here that we can define what information is shown to the requester. So we have here request July, and this is, as you can see here, approvals through Power Automate. Now I'm going to see this in my email, but another place I could also see this is in my approvals area here as well. So if I click from approvals from the left-hand navigation, I'm going to get this screen that pops up, and I'm going to see my intake requests. I can see change requests. I can see a lot of information as well. So I can click on this here, go here and say approve. So I can approve it directly from this approval area or from the email. I could choose to go to one or go to both. So a lot of different approval options here as well. I'm going to go ahead and select approve. I'm not going to add any comments and say submit. This is going to kick off the next step in our workflow. What it's going to do is it's going to come in here. It's going to say it's been approved, and now it's going to move to our what we call our project creation workflow. Our project creation workflow is going to be activated, and it is going to look at any of the fields that I specifically indicated during requirements need to be copied over to my plan. Of course, there's going to be the obvious fields like project or request name will become project name, the project manager will become the project manager. But we can say in addition, for example, like project description should carry into the project description field in the project charter. And business sponsor, should become the sponsor as well. And a lot of other fields that we can carry over. So we can carry over as many or as little as we want into the project. And the value of this is that it's ultimately going to save the project manager time. So they're not having to recreate information that did not change from the time of the request. This increases efficiency and value for project management. Now, while the project's being created, let's go ahead and go into PPM360. This is the request I received saying your request was approved by the approver and the project will be created. Click here to view the request. After the request transition into a full project, the project manager assigned to the project is going to receive an email. That email is going to notify them that this request has been approved. They've been assigned as the project manager, and it's going to give them a link to the project that's going to take them into PPM360. We can also add other valuable information to that request, such as this is the project that's been created, you're the project manager, here's your team members that are going to be on the project, such as the project sponsor, who the approver was, who the requester was. We can choose to add additional information to any of these emails, actually, about the request or the project itself. Back in PPM360, we took a look at project dashboards, project requests, which is intake, and now the approvals area. If we go to plans, by default, we're going to see this My Active Plans view, which is going to show me any plans by default where I am the project manager. We also have some other what we call out-of-the-box views. If I go to all plans here, I can see all plans created by all project managers in the system, as you can see here. These views are also customizable during the requirements phase. We have some other ones, such as all plans timeline, which is a useful view as well. It's a beautiful view here where we can see all the plans on a timeline. This color indication is going to be indicated by the overall health of the project. If I hover over, I can see project manager and a lot of other useful information. This progress is pulling directly from the tasks area of the project. Going back to my active plans here, I want to also highlight that in addition of having these out-of-the-box roles, which you would define for users during the requirements, users also have the ability to create their own custom views. This is taught during the project manager training part of our deployment. We can come here to edit columns. I can add some columns that are important, such as active issues, active risks, active changes. I can move these around. I can get rid of this one, for example. Then I can press apply here. Upon pressing apply, I can see here that my new project July webinar has officially been created. I can manage that here as well. To save my new view, I would simply say save new view. I can say new view here. Now this view has been saved, and I can even go as far as to make this my new default view. So when I navigate away from this area and come back, I see my specific view. This increases value for your project managers for managing their projects because they may need to see some specific information. For example, they may want to see the projects by department or projects by overall health or active issues and changes and risks, for example. A lot of different options here. So we're giving control back to your users as far as how they want to manage their projects within this tool as well. So here's the project that was created from the intake request. So it's been approved here. And as I mentioned, we're going to receive this email. Same click here to open the project, as you can see here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click into a previously created project here. Here's our summary tab. Once again, want to reiterate what we're seeing here is customizable during our requirements phase. So you may not need fields like business unit or business sponsor champion. You may have other fields that you use for your project management tracking that are vital for your team, and we can simply add those, whether it be at the request level or here. All of that time is included in our project requirements phase. Here on our summary tab, we're going to have the project name, project date, parent project. So basically, I can look up to other projects that exist in the system and say, for example, I want to connect this one to July webinar. Might be a phase 2. I can see here, and now this doesn't tie anything in the actual project to this, but I can basically point to this project and say it's related somehow. This field can also be referred to as maybe associated project. Project template is going to indicate if there's a scheduled template that was used here. We also have project manager, business sponsor champion. This is going to be a user lookup field that's going to look up to your AD. We have business unit as well. Now, let's talk about these critical Microsoft integration and planner sync fields. I have the capability here to create a Microsoft Teams by simply selecting this to yes. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to press save, and this is going to activate a Power Automate workflow that's going to create a Teams for my project. I'm going to receive this nice notification here saying team is being set up. We'll let you know when it's ready. We're going to see here that after the team has been finally created, I'm going to see a new button appear in the toolbar appear at the top. It says Open in Teams. This button will be very valuable if you're project managers. Instead of having to search, we can see here. So instead of having to search their Teams list for their project every single time, I can simply select Open in Teams, and it's going to prompt me out if I want to open it in the app or in the browser. I'm going to say use the web app instead. Now we're going to see the teams that was created for this project specifically. by default, the project manager is going to be the owner of this project. Here we have project type. This is locked because this is typically going to be a field that we have an intake that will carry over. This can simply be unlocked if it's determined at the time after the project is created. We can also assign my plan to a program and portfolio. So I can look up programs and portfolios. Say I'm going to assign this to aerospace, for example. I'm going to assign this one to the real estate one. We're going to see when we get to portfolios and programs how critical it is that I just added this plan, this program and portfolio. Where my plan start and plan finish date, which pulled in from my request, and my plans and my start date and finish date are my actuals pulling from my tasks tab, which we'll also take a look at. We have my business case here, and we're using enhanced rich text here, as you can see. And by using enhanced rich text here, I can say, these are some notes about my project. And I can highlight specific text or bold it. I can change some font colors as well. So I can enhance rich text. I can also add an attachment here and all these other options that we're seeing as well. In my project charter tab, we're going to see I have just simple text here. So this would be just my project description, which typically also would carry in from intake. Now, my score would typically carry in from intake as well. And based on the score, we ask our customers to determine a priority and urgency based on that. So for example, we would say, based on your questions, if the score is 0 to 10, we would make this field automatically show as low, or this could be manually set by the user, depending on the score as well. Now moving on to status. This is an area for users to submit status reports for their project. I'm going to pause here and show our project status report, which we have here. Our project status report is an all-inclusive informational report that's going to show you a lot of information spanning across all areas of PPM360 for your project. The report that I'm about to create is going to specifically pull data from that report in PPM360 into this Power BI report from the recent accomplishments, next steps, additional comments, reporting date, and the KPIs. Some of these other areas are going to pull from, for example, the summary tab, my tasks tab, summary tab, financials, risks tab, changes, project issues. Now let's go ahead and submit a status report together. I'm going to select new status report here. I'm going to go ahead and say Stella's new status report number 1. I am going to say the reporting date because the reporting date is going to be important because this Power BI report is going to pull the data in from the report with the most recent reporting date. Now, when I put submitted to, upon saving this, it is going to send a nice email with this information about this specific report. We do have a calculation here, which can be changed during requirements. It's a simple change, but currently we have that there's a calculation logic behind this overall health field. If at least one of the other KPI indicators is yellow, this overall health will be yellow. If at least one is red, this will be red. So it's basically all of them have to be green in order for this to be green. I'm going to go ahead and put in some recent accomplishments, next steps, and additional comments. Once again, this area is customizable, so we can add additional fields if you need to capture additional changes in your status report. I'm going to go ahead and select Save. By doing this, I'm kicking off that workflow that's going to send in a nice email to whoever's been submitted to field with some information about this specific status report. So only this specific status report, and of course, for example, like the project name. We'll take a look at that when I get that here in a minute. Now, what does this copy status report field do? There's also Power Automate flow related to this one. Purpose of this one is if essentially I come in here the following week and I want to submit a new status report, but essentially nothing has really changed from my recent accomplishments, next steps, and additional comments. Instead of having to open this in a new screen and copy and paste, I can simply convert this to yes and say save and close. And now there's a workflow working in the background that's going to create a copy of this as a new log here in the status reports. It's going to have the same name. It's going to say copy. It's going to pull in the KPIs. It's going to pull in the recent accomplishments, the next steps, and additional comments. The one field that does not pull in is submitted to, because if I want to open it and fill in that field with someone else, the status report might need to go to someone else. and I might need to make some changes to it, but it's simply a starting point. Here we can see that copy of sales new status report. I'm going to want to come up here and update my reporting date. As we can see here, submitted date feels blank, but everything else copied over. This also saves your project manager time because they're not having to recreate some information that basically may be the same. This is one of our many workflows included in our out-of-the-box workflows that come with our solution. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat or just speak up. So in financials, we start with the very basic foundation here. We do have a financials application that can be embedded into our project management tool, which Erin and Charlene will discuss a little bit more towards the end of the webinar. Now, during the requirements phase, we also do edit this. So we do have some customers that have needed to account for CapEx and OpEx, for example. We can just add additional fields. We would have like CapEx budget and OpEx budget equals total budget. A lot of different calculations we can do here. I type in my budget here and save. As I enter my actual cost, we're going to see that this is going to give me my remaining budget. And as I enter my forecast, we're going to see I'm going to get my budget variance. Now moving on to our resources tab. This area is where I'm going to see the team members that I either have added directly to my team members table here or ones that I have assigned to tasks. So for my tasks tab, I've already gone ahead and created a schedule. Now, for those of you familiar with Premium Plan and Planner, this is essentially going to be a premium plan embedded into this tasks tab. So all the capabilities you're going to have with a premium plan, all of the different views you're going to get, those 16 Microsoft out-of-the-box columns, plus the ability to create an additional 10 custom fields. You're going to have all of those capabilities within this tasks tab. Let's go ahead and assign some tasks to users. I'm going to go ahead and assign Allison to this task. I'm going to just assign her, not add her to the group. I'm going to go ahead and add Charlene as well. And Erin. When I go back to my resources tab here, we're going to see this workflow working to populate this based on the tasks that I assigned her. So we can see here that they automatically got the role executive sponsor. But what's great is I can come here and actually edit their role and say, for this project, Allison's actually not going to be an executive sponsor. I would like her to instead be a civil engineer. And now her role has been changed for this project. The value of this role is that way I can define who's playing what role in this project. Furthermore, on my resource reports, I can simply add a role filter and identify where my resources allocations are, identify any resources that are available by role, and a lot of other valuable aspects as well. In our engagements line here, this is going to be based on task assignments. But if I want to have someone on my project that's not going to be assigned to a specific task, but they're still going to be engaged on it, I can simply add them to the table here by selecting new. It will add an engagement line for them here below, and I can come in and add and edit their engagement. Here's our tasks tab, which we've already taken a look at. Took a little more in depth here. We do have, those 16 out of the box columns, plus the ability to create those other ones. We have the board view, which we have these buckets where I can create a new bucket and drag and drop. I have my timeline view, which is going to show my milestones and an icon. I can also increase the duration of some of these tasks directly from this view as well. I have my charts view, which is going to give me an overall view of my tasks here. My people view, where I can drag and drop tasks to assign them to new users. Now, these people that I'm assigning tasks to, how do they know that they've been assigned a task, and how do they manage the progress on their tasks that they're assigned? Well, here on the summary tab, we have this nice field here called Planner Sync. When this is triggered to yes, it is going to activate a workflow that when I assign a task to users, they will see those tasks in their My Plan area under My Tasks. From the My Tasks area here in their grid view, they're going to see those appear here, and they're going to be able to manage their progress. When they put in progress for that task, it's going to read back to my schedule as 50% complete. Now, the value in this is that the users only need a Microsoft 365 license to manage their projects from the planner area. They don't even need to come into the project. If you'd rather have more granular control over the task assignments and want them to use the percent complete column, they would need a Plan 1 license. We do have this specific field here, Planner Sync, because maybe not all projects you want your users to manage their progress from Planner, and maybe for some you do. So we really give you the option there by utilizing this field. Task baselines is one of the newest additions we have to our base solution. This is something we developed for one of our customers, and it allows users to set up to 15 baselines throughout the project. I can create a new baseline by selecting yes here and selecting save. We're going to see this new baseline is going to start populating below. The first part of this workflow is going to be to look at my tasks and start populating them here below, as you can see. The second part of the workflow is it's going to look at the current baseline that I'm setting, and it's going to populate this. So this is the first baseline I'm setting, so it's going to say baseline 1, and it's going to look at the date that today is, the date I set it. It's going to say 7/31. This allows the project manager, when they're ready to come set a new baseline, to look at the current baseline number and identify what was the baseline, the most recent baseline I set, what number is it, and what date was that one set. We have 1 and then today's date. Keep in mind, users can set up to 15 baselines for their project with this tool. In our risks tab, we have a newly revamped risks area here where I can have a board and a grid view. To create a new risk, I'll simply come in here, select the new button, and it's going to give me in a new window a risk field. I can come in and say, for example, COVID outbreak in warehouse, and I can say this category is going to be my resources because I have resources that are out sick. I can assign this to myself, and then myself or whoever else will receive an in-app notification that they've been assigned this risk. My impacts and probability, which is going to give me my exposure here below. And I can provide my cost, which is going to give me my cost exposure using cost times exposure. I can also provide a description, mitigation plan, and a contingency plan. I can save and close. Now I'm going to see my risk appear here. And this is currently categorized, as we can see, by category. So to change the category, I can simply drag and drop it into a different category. That'll update that category field here. I also can change this to a grid view where I can see it simply like this. I can see blue indicates active. We do also have a nice workflow here using Power Automate where I can convert this risk to an issue. So let's say that I created this as a risk because I have 2 out of 5 members on my team are out sick with COVID this week, and that is putting my scheduled timeline, my ability to get those deliverables out at risk. Let's say the following week, I now have the rest of my team out with COVID. So this has increased to an official issue because my timeline is officially impacted. Instead of the user having to go create a new issue in the issues table, we can simply utilize this workflow, convert this to yes. It's going to look at specific fields like description, mitigation plan, contingency plan, category, state, and it's going to copy those fields over and create a new issue in the issues table, which we'll look at here. Now, I want to pause here and say, in addition, we have 15 out-of-the-box reports that come with our solution. In addition to the ones we've already looked at, we also have our risks dashboard, which is going to show me all the risks open in the system. The great where it says I can drill into more specific information, such as my name here, and I can see that I have 41 risks open across all management from this view. We also have an issues dashboard as well as a changes dashboard too. Here's the information I can log for an issue, name, category, as I mentioned before, assigned to due date, requester, description, and resolution. For my changes area, we have a nice little change approval built in here, where basically I can create the change here, log all the important information. Once again, this area is also customizable, so I can come in and edit specific information. And then when I'm ready to send this for approval, I can trigger this to requested. That is going to send or email via Power Automate to whoever's been assigned to fields, and they'll be able to approve the request or reject it utilizing that buttons in the email they receive. We have an area for decisions as well, where I can come in and log some decisions utilizing these fields. I also have an area for lessons learned, which is typically utilized at the end of the project. So typically at the end of the project, you'll meet, or the project manager themselves will go through and they'll make some notes about lessons they learned throughout the project. Now, before I move on to programs and portfolios, the last thing I want to touch on is our business process flow up here at the top. This is going to indicate the active stage of your project. Some may refer to it as phase gate. You have a series of questions here, or just one, that the project manager has to answer. They'll say yes, yes is required to move to the next stage. And now it's going to go for approval. Approvers can be indicated by either a set list of people for across all projects, or by people in a specific field, such as it should go to the business sponsor champion of their project for approval. They'll receive that Power Automate approval, and it will also show up in their approvals area, and they'll be able to approve from there. We're actually finding that more and more customers are choosing not to have approvals built into their business process flow, but this is an option that we have in our out-of-the-box solution for your team if this is a requirement. Keep in mind, you don't have to have an approval at each phase if you choose to use approvals. A lot of times customers will say, if I do want an approval, I only want it to be at the very end. So basically someone higher up would receive an email saying this project is requesting approval to be closed. Someone would go in and make sure all the closing items were complete before saying that this project can officially be closed. They would then approve from email, and then the project. So there's that email that I received here, submitted for initiation gate approval. I can approve from here. And now this is going to update here to say approved. And now I'm going into the planning phase. Here, this has been approved. Moving on to portfolios. In our portfolios, earlier in our plan here, we went ahead and assigned this plan to a specific portfolio. In our portfolios area, we're going to see all of these different portfolios. Now you may be asking, what's the difference between a portfolio and program? Well, our business answer there is going to be that projects within the same portfolio are typically managed on the same fiscal level versus projects within the same program typically can share resources across projects within that program. An example, there might be a construction project all live in the same program. So they're going to have similar resources that can be shared across projects as needed. The same case may not go for portfolio. Now, with that said, ultimately, these two things can be defined however you want to define them based on your business process. These are just general definitions. Let's go ahead and click into one of these portfolios and see what we can find. We can see here some general information about this portfolio financials. So we're going to see all the projects that would sum up all the financials here and all the projects listed here as well. In our programs, we're going to see we have a pretty informative view here. Overall health, financial health program, schedule health, number of active projects, and out of those active projects, how many are at risk or in trouble right now currently for their overall health. If I click into this program, I can see some information here. The status, which can be manually set or based on logic. Financials, once again, are going to roll up based on the projects that live in here. Nice timeline view, which we can also easily add to portfolios as well. Projects. And a notes area here as well. Lastly, we'll go ahead and go through and cover those reports that we didn't get to earlier. We have our request dashboard report, and this is going to pull in information based on the intake application. So our intake application on the back end uses the data set SharePoint list. So SharePoint is good. So this data set for this report will also use SharePoint. Moving on, we have our portfolio health report. We can see here using this drop down, I can change it to a different project and see projects to this portfolio. This is a great PMO report because I can say, I manage this portfolio. Let me see how these are doing. I can also interact with my visuals up here and say, I want to see the project that's resource health critical. And that's going to filter my table down here below based on such. I also have my portfolio dashboard. Once again, these reports are customizable during the requirements phase. So if there's specific fields that you're not using or you choose to do away with and you replace them with more important fields, we would, by the time we get to the reporting requirements, we would know those fields and we would recommend that we show those fields on the report rather than the current ones being shown. So there is time for alterations to these reports as well. These are just starting points. We have a portfolio timeline report here, which is going to show me all of the projects on a timeline, as you can see here. Color coding is based on project manager. Portfolio milestones, this is going to show milestones within the project, which is by definition, any tasks that are 0-day duration, 0 hours. Our program health report, our status report where I took a look at, as well as our risks, issues, and changes, and our resource dashboard, which is going to show me some high-level information for resources across my projects. Resource assignments is going to pull in task information. So I currently have resource set to myself, and I can see that I'm on all of these projects, and if I expand them, I can see the specific tasks that I'm on and their status as well. Resource availability is going to pull from engagements. And what's great about this is I can see resources that are over allocated or under allocated based on their default utilization. I can come down here and click on my name. That's going to filter over here on the right. It's going to show me all the projects that I'm on and how much I'm engaged on them. My task overview report is just going to give me a nice overview of all my tasks here. And then we have my project timeline, which is going to be a little more informative than a portfolio timeline because it's going to have the project name and all the tasks, as you can see here. Now, if there are no questions, I'll go ahead and hand it back over to Charlene and Aaron.